Alright, I have a 2009 Yamaha Grizzly 550. I've made several changes to it. The first thing being I snorkeled it. I've moved the radiator up top. I've put some 28-inch Zillas with some ITP rims. And I also like to run some 29.5-inch high lifter Outlaws. And I don't have a lift on my four-wheeler, but they fit on there just fine. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the modification that I made to do the snorkels into the airbox. I know a lot of people are having a hard time finding information on this, so I was going to cover it the best that I could. First thing that you'll have to do is remove your airbox, and you're going to have to put two holes to fit down inside, or to fit your PVC pipe in. These are actually 90-degree or 45-degree angle PVC pipes. I use marine epoxy to create a seal there, an airtight seal. And then when you remove the airbox and you look at it, there's a vent that comes out of here, and it gets air for your four-wheeler. You're going to have to cut that off and then get a piece of Lexan. It's a plastic, and you have to cut that to shape so it'll fit, and then you can use the same marine epoxy to put it in place to create a watertight seal. Now, the orange hose that you're looking at there is a rigid shop vac hose. It works great, and it fits right inside of these PVC 45s, and then and it's snug, so when you put the epoxy around it, it does create a good firm fit. Now, inside the box, when you get those, I got them from Home Depot, there's two rubber attachments that allow you, they just screw onto the hose in a counterclockwise fashion, and they tighten up, and they create a watertight seal. I went ahead and put marine epoxy on the hose before I screwed it on, just to make sure that it was watertight. But the nice thing about those attachments are when they run out here, the PVC that you connect here, it's a 90-degree elbow. It fits right inside of that tube, and then you can just use a hose clamp to clamp it onto your PVC. So it's pretty easy to do. Then I used a rubber, a little rubber piece, and you'll find that over there where the PVC is sold. And it just connects one piece to another piece. And then you could be creative at how you make your snorkels look. I kind of like this look right here. But you can make yours however you want to. You can make them as high or short as you want to. I didn't think I'd be in water any deeper than this. If it's deeper than that, I'm getting out. And then I've got screens on the inside of each snorkel just to keep debris and bugs and whatnot from being sucked in. Overall, the snorkeling part of it was fairly easy. Just take your time. It's not too difficult. Where your clutch and transmission and all that's really easy to do. I use the same hose as you can see in here. This is where it's run up. And everything I got from Lowe's or Home Depot. So it's pretty simple. I think there's another video on YouTube that shows this side of the plastic opened up, and it just shows how they did it, and I did it in a similar fashion as they did. Then when it comes to relocating your radiator, I thought long and hard about getting a kit, but they're like 200 bucks, so I decided to make my own. I'm glad I did. Mine looks different than anybody else's, and it was really simple to do. Now when you take your radiator out of your four-wheeler, I've heard a lot of people had to take off the front ends and whatnot to do it. I didn't want to go through all that. So on the inside here, I cut a little piece of plastic right here. And it's probably about 3 inches, which allowed me to just slide the radiator right out without having to remove anything. The radiator has 4 factory holes in it for mounting, and I just used those same holes. And the first thing that I did, I got this little bar right here, and I fastened it on top of the four-wheeler, and I fastened it to the factory holes that are on the rack itself. Then I bought these bolts right here. There's two of them, and they're about 2.5 inches long, I believe. And one thing that I did that I would recommend you do is I put a little piece of 1/4 inch hose underneath the bolt here, and it butts up against the shroud, the radiator shroud that I made, and it just eliminates any racket or vibrating. I did that on all four ends, so it's just got a little piece of 1/4 inch hose underneath the bolt. All right. Another thing that I chose to do, which you can do differently, is I used diamond plate. I think it was like $25 for the diamond plate. And then I took on the tedious chore of drilling a bunch of holes throughout the diamond plate to let air flow in. You don't have to use diamond plate, but this particular piece is 12 by 18 is the measurement, 12 inches long or wide and 18 inches long. And then I cut it to fit, and then I rounded off the corners here. You may want to round yours off, and you may not. I didn't want any sharp corners or anything sticking out there, so I decided to round it off, and I think it gives it a better look. Some of the other things that you'll have to buy a longer size bolt if you mount it the same way I did. I used the same, see right here's the mounting part that's on the radiator, and then I got I think that's a 1-inch spacer, and this is a bolt. And this bolt right here, I think, I want to say it was like 10 inches long, 12 inches long, and I just cut it to the right size. But it mounts directly onto my rack right there. It was really simple to do, and I used the little rubber pieces right here, like I said, to eliminate any kind of chatter. And then I put some more down here. So it was really easy to do. Didn't have any trouble with that. The radiator, when you take it out, if you're riding mud like I do, it's going to be really dirty. Extremely muddy. It took me 3 days of letting it soak in a cooler with purple power, and that got out most of the dirt, and then I pressure washed it afterward and got the rest of it out. I completely removed the hoses from the four-wheeler though, and I bought 2 new hoses, and I got them at Advanced Auto or one of those places. And they actually came in a little bag, and each hose was 6 feet long, and I think they were $4 a piece. So I got 2 of them just to make sure that I had enough hose. And then this hose here is a 1/4 inch fuel line hose, and that's coming up. That's just the drain off part for the radiator. So, and that goes down to the reservoir where you can add coolant if you need to. I drilled my hole right here on the side where this plastic piece is, and it runs up through the wheel well. Let me see if I can get a picture of that. Okay, it runs up like that, and then I have it tied to the frame going down and strapped with plastic ties. On the inside, on this side, here's the other hose right here, and it just runs down right there. So you'll have to make little holes in your plastic right there. Now, I didn't have any problem with the fan line, the power source from the fan being too short. Mine was long enough. I have heard that some people had to put extensions on theirs, but mine was long enough. Like I said, I did run brand new hose all the way down. I took the old stuff off. I didn't want any connections there, because if it's going to leak, you're going to have a problem. That's probably where it's going to be at. So I didn't want to take a chance, be out riding, be out in the woods somewhere, and start losing my coolant. Another thing that you're going to have to consider if you do any of these modifications, especially the snorkel, is that your motor is going to get more air than it did before. So you're probably going to run a little bit lean. Now, if you have an 07 or an 08 700, you can use the pod mod, which is actually your speedometer. And there's a way to get in there and get into the diagnostics and change the fuel setting in there. You can find those on the Yamaha Grizzly webpage. But mine being an 09 550, I couldn't do that. So I had to buy something in order to change my fuel settings. But there are other ways to go about doing that. But that's just something to keep in mind. You'll probably have to do. You'll have to change your fuel settings. Otherwise, it's going to run lean. Another thing that I did, which is pretty simple to do, I pulled out the spark arrestor and I put a different cap on it, a fuel or a muffler tip. And it gives it a better sound and it lets more air out. And I could tell a big difference as far as performance goes and stuff. Um, I can't tell you if it's from the tip or if it's from the fuel settings because I did them both at the same time. But needless to say, I can't tell the difference. So, but those are some of the things that I did, and I'm going to leave my email when I post this. So if anyone has any questions, I can get a bit more descriptive and I can help you out if you need some help. Otherwise, just enjoy yourself, have fun. It's not a hard job, and talk to you later. Bye.